Hey, I'm Curtis Calhoun with FanSided MMA, and today I am joined by Bellator featherweight Aaron Pico, who faces Justin Gonzalez at Bellator 271 next Friday night. Aaron, thanks again for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Curtis, for having me on, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Well, to start off, just kind of give me your thoughts on Justin Gonzalez as an opponent, and how excited are you to get back in the cage?
I'm excited. I think he's a very, very good opponent for me, matchup wise. He's a wrestler. I haven't fought a high level wrestler. I mean, was a D1 guy, so knows wrestling. But I'm excited for the matchup. I just got to go out there, do my job, and I feel I'm better than him in all areas of MMA. So now I got to go out there and prove it.
Absolutely. And now you're in the top 5 in the latest featherweight rankings. How close do you feel you are from getting a title shot? And where do you think a win over Justin Gonzalez puts you in the thick of things?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, it definitely won't hurt me. I'm going to be definitely in title contention in that case. But there's a lot of guys in the top. I'm number 5. So there's, 4 guys ahead of me that I could fight. So I just want to pick them off one by one, whether it be Mads Burnell, Emmanuel Sanchez, Adam Borks. I would love to get a rematch with him. And even Patricio Pitbull is up there too. So, yeah, I just got to stay focused on this guy. I'm not taking him for granted. I respect him, and he's 12-0, undefeated as an amateur. So it's a guy that knows how to win. He's very, very confident, believes whatever he's doing is working, and it is working. But you're going to have to bring a lot more to the table when you fight me. So, yeah.
Right. And a lot has changed in the featherweight division since you last fought against Aiden Lee. Your longtime friend, AJ McKee, is now the champ. Yeah. He won the Grand Prix, as you predicted, I believe. What were your thoughts on his performance? And has his quick rise to the top of the division surprised you at all?
No, it hasn't surprised me. I'm not surprised by it at all, because I've predicted from the beginning that he was going to win. I know how good he is. He's a very, very good fighter. And yeah, I mean, people say, "Oh, well, he just suddenly just became champion." No, you look at the guys that he's fought. He's fought some tough guys to get to the title. And I believe he's top, pound for pound, top 5 guy in the world in MMA. I really believe that. He's very, very. Some guys just have that gift of fighting, and he's one of those guys that just has an IQ that's through the roof. Greg Jackson always says that fighting is just making the right decisions at the right time, and he's a guy that can make the right decisions and can see things differently in there. I'm very. Not jealous is not the word. Would it be like envious? I strive to have that fight IQ, because it's man, he's very good, very, very good.
Right. And then you started with him over at the Body Shop, and now you're at Jackson Wink. What's been kind of the biggest impact on your career since you moved over to Jackson Wink MMA?
I think the biggest impact is just time to learn the sport. I needed MMA is there's so many scenarios that happen in a fight. There's so many positions you get into, and I just needed time to get good on the ground, to learn, to get caught in things, to just be in so many, like I said, scenarios, and just learn the sport. The coaches there have really put a lot of time into me. We gel very, very good, and it's just a great fit for me. I think it's a great fit for me as outside the gym as well. I have a life outside the gym. Of course, I'm always in there training, but I love Albuquerque. I love it as a city. I have a lot of good friends here, and who I consider family now, and I have horses. So it's just a good city for me. It keeps me, I'm like I said, I'm glad I have a life outside the gym, because it's just some people just get so fixated, and they just get, they drive themselves crazy being in the gym 24/7. Luckily for me, I have horses. I do things on the weekends, and it's a good fit for me.
Absolutely. And you finally got the chance to fight in front of a crowd again, your last fight. What was the experience like of fighting without a crowd? And how does that compare to fighting with a crowd? Did you mind it at all? Was it more of a unofficial sparring session when there wasn't a crowd in attendance? What was that experience like for you?
Well, I don't really pay too much attention to it. I just focus on the fight. I enjoyed it without the crowd. I think I had 3 fights. It was nice to just hear your coaches and just get experience. You know, for me, I'm happy to get cage time. That's the biggest thing. There's nothing, you can't really train for it. You can't do more rounds and grappling and this and that other than being in that cage with the pressure on you. So it was good to just be able to just hear my coaches think. And at first it was a little bit weird. It's kind of weird, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it with the crowd either. So as long as I go in there and win, get my paycheck, go home, that's all I'm concerned about.
Right. Absolutely. And you made the transition from freestyle wrestling to MMA back in 2017. How much of a benefit was it for you to have that strong wrestling base when you transitioned to MMA?
It's the most important thing, I believe. You look at all the best fighters in the world, they all have the most important thing is they have a strong wrestling base. If you don't have a good wrestling base now in MMA, it's going to be very, very hard to come into the sport. You know, you look at any of the champions, they all have somewhat of a grappling background, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. It's super, super important. Lucky for me, coming from freestyle, I've been all around the world. I spent a lot of time in Dagestan, Russia, Ukraine, everywhere I was traveling on the highest level. So I've seen the best wrestlers that ever walked this planet. I've been in the same room as them. So it's awesome to see that, and it gives me a lot of confidence going into fights with guys that have wrestled, but they haven't seen the level of wrestling that I've seen. So, but I'm just always aware that I don't take this for granted. I've been humbled 3 times. I've lost, so I take nothing for granted.
Right. And you're on a win streak right now after some early losses in your career. But what did you learn about yourself during those early struggles with the hype and all that, and the branding that came with it? And what's the biggest key to your turnaround now on this win streak?
The thing I've learned most is I don't really care what people have to say. You know, that's the biggest thing for me. I don't care what people say on social media. I don't care what they say you're the greatest of this or you're that or whatever, because at the end of the day, none of that stuff matters. It really, really doesn't. And being a young kid in the game, of course, you look for approval from other people. Like, oh man, I want to see how do they think I look and this and that. And at the end of the day, where I tell a young guy, I still am young, I'm 25, but I've learned a lot, is that none of that stuff matters. I stay in my lane. I do what I have to do. I listen to my coaches. I go out there and fight, do my job, and then I come home. I don't really focus on what other people have to say. I really don't. I have a good team around me. I really look for approval by my coaches. They'll let me know when things aren't right, and I listen to my manager. I listen to my parents, my wife, and I just go from that. I don't really listen to the background noise that people have to say, because it can really bring you down for sure. So for me, just what I learned about myself is that it just goes back to what wrestling has taught me. I mean, you're going to lose, but we're going to be back in that wrestling room and we're going to get better. Growing up wrestling, you drop a match or lose a tournament, take second, you're back on Monday at the wrestling room getting better. So that's what I take away from wrestling, and I think that's the life lessons that wrestling has taught me, and it's transferred over to MMA, is that, we may have some really bad losses, but we're going to be back in that wrestling room getting better. So I know no matter what, I can dig myself out of a hole, because that was a tough time. To be honest with you, it was a tough time, but I know my team and I are strong, and we made it. So.
Absolutely. And before we go, I'll give you the final word to shout out any sponsors you have, and let fans know where they can find you on social media too.
Yeah, I just want to thank all my sponsors: Ruka Sport, Monster Energy, David August Clothing. I appreciate all the support and all the help. Everybody can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Aaron Pico USA. So make sure you guys tune in November 12th. It's going to be a great night, and it's going to be a great card. So make sure you guys watch.
Well, Aaron, thanks again so much for your time, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon, and best of luck next weekend.
I appreciate it, Curtis. Have a great day.